right. So, I think there's three things I want to get done today. Okay. Thing number one is I want to do some notes. Thing number two is I want to hand back some stuff. And thing number three is I'll do that intermittently. So yeah, good. So start with a warm up with some A's and some B's and some D's. Go for it. Wow, that's also a bold choice. So tomorrow we're going to have a formative, and then next week, Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, we're going to have the test on this stuff. Week from tomorrow. No, next Wednesday. Today's only Tuesday. So tomorrow would be Wednesday. Okay? Then we'll do some graphing of tangents and cosecants because we haven't graphed those yet. And then some cotangents and some secant graphs. And then it's winter break. And then we come back and we'll do some inverse type stuff. And then we'll start reviewing for our final. Because we come back and it's like the week after we come back is when finals are. It's quick. All right, let's fill some stuff in. This one, it's got a domain of all real numbers. Would you concur? I would concur with that. This one's got a middle at -2. Yeah? It's got an amplitude of 1/2, which means it goes up to -3/2, and it goes down to -5/2. Yes? And fractions are much cleaner than decimals. Okay? So my range would be -5/2, -3/2. Alright? Start is still at 0. What is the period? Pi/2, which means it ends at Pi/2. Does this negative right there have any effect on anything? Nope, it doesn't, because it's cosine. And -b doesn't have an effect on cosine. It does have an effect on sine. Okay? We're just talking about going the negative direction, and so if we go the negative direction, our cosines are always going to be the same. So cosine starts up high, comes down, ends up high. Huh? Vertically, we started at 0. And we started down 1.5. Oh, touch the brakes. Let's just move that right there over. Yeah. So vertically, we started at, our high value was -3/2. Our low value was -5/2. Our middle was -2. We started at 0. We ended at Pi/2, which means halfway is what? Pi/4. Which means halfway is pi over 8, which means halfway is 3 pi over 8. Questions, comments, concerns, clarifications? All good? All right. So today we're going to jump into, so the amplitude A, we learned that. That's the first thing that we learned, was that vertical stretch. Okay? Then we learned D, which was where our middle was. Okay? Then we learned B, and what we need to know with B is that 2 pi divided by B is our period. And then now today, we're going to learn all about C's. And this works for cosine too. Okay? Now, what we need to know, or what we need to do, is because we are dealing with something that is in a set of parentheses, and that in mathematics always kinds of makes things a little bit more difficult, because let me get to my C. Oh, no, there it is. Yep. Because we need to think opposite. Okay. So if it's minus pi over 2 in there, you're actually starting at positive pi over 2. You got to think oppositely of what you see, because in mathematics it's actually inside double sets of parentheses. Okay? And so this C gives you where you start, where your curve starts horizontally. Okay? That's what the C value does, and you have to think opposite. Then from that, then you find your period, and so then you add your period to your start, and that tells you your end. So when we're finding the pieces of 9, you have, so A and D kind of go together, B and C kind of go together. Okay? Let's do something. Let's do one here. Here we go. Okay? So we've got y equals the cosine of x minus pi over 3. Let's see if I can. That works. Domain, all real numbers. Love it. Middle, 0. Amplitude, 1. Started out nice and easy, which means we go up to 1, down to -1. Our range is that. Yes? Okay. Start. Now we've got a C value. Right? Okay. So I got to think oppositely. It looks like negative pi over 3, but really it's positive pi over 3. So I'm going to start, this one is going to start at positive pi over 3. B value. B value or period? Because you gave me the period, right? What's the B value, though? What's the B value? 1, right? Because there's no coefficient on the x. Okay? So it's 1, so that makes 2 pi divided by b be the period. So the period here is 2 pi. Now, we got to do some thinking, because now we got to figure out where this ends. Okay? So we have to do a little mathematics here, because we've got to go pi over 3 plus 2 pi to figure out where it ends. Well, instead of thinking about 2 pi, what am I actually thinking about? Or how am I thinking this? 6 pi over 3. So where would this curve end? 7 pi over 3. With me? Yeah? Starts at 0. Cosine starts where? Up high? Ends where? Up high again, right? Okay. But now I can't put my vertical axes here because I actually started at pi over 3. I end at 7 pi over 3. What's halfway? Rose, you want a shortcut to find halfway? Because what do we define halfway? That's the average, right? Okay, so I got 1 pi to start, right? I know everything's over 3, so I'm going to forget about that right off the start. 1 plus 7 is 8 divided by 2, 4. So the middle here is at 4 pi over 3. Now we got to find the other two middles, right? Okay. 1 plus 4 is 5, but 5 can't be divided by 2, right? So instead of dividing the top by 2, I'm going to, what am I going to do with the bottom? To divide by 2. Dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by 2. So this is 5 pi over 6. Four plus 7 is 11, not divisible by 2. So I've got to multiply the bottom by 2. And then I just got to add in 1, 0. What do we got? Got it? All right. You try one now. Go for it.
We don't like how. Yeah.
Negative 1 plus 7 is 6. Divided by 2 is 3. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2. Divided by 2 is 1. Which means then that my vertical will be right in there. 3 plus 7 is 10. Divided by 2 is 5. Yes? Questions, comments, concerns? Speak now, forever hold your peace. What's the period? 2 pi. Because there's no number. Whoa, hey, whoa. Easy there, Schmitzky. There's no number right there. Good? All right. Try that one. Domain, all real numbers. Middle, 0. Amplitude. Oops, got brakes. Amplitude 1, 1, negative 1. Start. Negative pi. And at pi, because our period is 2 pi. Right? Regular old cosine. Which means there, which means yes? Yeah? All righty. Ooh, I like this one. So, give you a second to write it down, but don't grab it yet, because we got to do something first. And it's very important. What does this one have that the rest of them haven't had yet to this point in time? It's got that 2, right? Okay? Now, in your generalized formula, okay, if I go way back to here, in my generalized formula, where is that 2? It's what, Alden? It's B, right? And where is B? It's outside that inner set of parentheses, right? Okay? Do we have B outside an inner set of parentheses? No. So in order to graph this one, we have got to get B outside an inner set of parentheses. So this is going to be the sine of 2 times something. What is that something going to be? X minus what? Minus what? Pi over 8. How do we know that it's pi over 8 and not pi over 2? Because we multiply it back in, right? We check it. And if it's pi over 2, then it's just been pi. And not pi over 4. Okay? 2 times pi over 8 is pi over 4. Now, you can graph it. Okay? Go for it now. Alright, hold on. Let's move this down. Oh, I can't even move the whole thing down. Oh, there we go. Move that down. Move this down even more. And then that allows me to bring this up here. And then I can say, all right, so my domain is all real numbers. Agree?
Yeah.
That's an easy one. Middle is 0. That's an easy one. Amplitude is 1. Yes. Which makes my range. Okay. Where do I start? Positive pi over 8. Yep. What's my period? Just pi, right? Because it's 2 pi divided by 2. So that's pi, which would make this 9 pi over 8. Sine curve, positive, everything's positive. Middle is at 0. My start was at pi over 8, so I'm over like that. Up to 1. Down to -1. In the middle is 0. Alright, so now let's talk these. Because these are going to be important tomorrow on your formative and next week, Wednesday, on your test. Okay? Halfway point. Because 1 plus 9 is 10. Divided by 2 is 5. You were. First halfway point. 3 pi over 8. Second halfway point. 7 pi over 8. Okay? Tomorrow on the formative, you'll have 2 graphing problems. Okay? You'll be asked to do all of that you see on the screen right now. We're not going to ask you for the range. We're not going to ask you for the domain tomorrow. Okay? Okay? But then you have to give us 7 of the pieces of 9 and the graph. The graph must include your 3 vertical labels and your 5 horizontal labels. Okay? Okay? So you have now in your possession, you have a green 4.4 worksheet number 1. Most of you picked up a second green 4.4 worksheet number 2. Okay? So you have 12 graphs that you could be working on now in the remaining 10 minutes of class.